If you dropped a Hakimi into the Jurassic world, could it safely survive for a day? Most people would think this house cat weighing only 4 kilograms would become some dinosaur snack within half an hour. But paleontologists' simulation results are surprising. A healthy adult house cat could have as high as a 68% chance of surviving 24 hours in the Jurassic. At 7 in the morning, the Jurassic sun is already high in the sky, and the temperature quickly climbs to 28 degrees C. They named the Hakimi Coal. He cautiously slipped through a patch of solo insects, and his first survival advantage was his extremely acute senses. A cat's hearing range is from 20 Hz to 65 kHz, allowing it to pick up high-frequency sounds that humans and most dinosaurs can't detect. Its eyes are 6 times more sensitive than a human's in low light, and it has 14 times as many olfactory receptors as humans. At this moment, Coal could already hear 50 meters away the rustling sound of a group of cold-toothed dragons chewing on cycad leaves. He also smelled scent marks left by a predator farther off, so Coal didn't hesitate to steer clear of the cold-toothed dragon group, these 1.5-meter-long herbivorous toothed dinosaurs. Although it wouldn't attack proactively, the reckless trampling after fertilization would be enough to kill a cat on the spot. Coal chose a rocky route covered in moss. Its paw pads can absorb more than 90% of footstep noise, making it almost silent as it moves. This is crucial because most Jurassic predators rely on hearing and vibrations to pinpoint their prey. At 10 a.m., the first real threat appeared, a Meiqiu measuring 3 meters long. Bursting out of the bushes, it was one of the most agile small predators of the Jurassic, able to run at up to 40 kilometers per hour. Meiqiu's eyes were locked tightly on Coal, clearly treating it as an ideal lunch. Coal didn't run. Instead, it arched its body and let out a low hiss. All of its fur stood on end, making its body appear almost twice as large. More importantly, the cat's hiss fell right within the range that most dinosaurs' hearing systems were especially sensitive to, causing intense discomfort. At that moment, the Meiqiu hesitated. It had never heard such a sharp, piercing noise. In that instant, Coal suddenly lunged forward and slammed its front paw hard onto the Meiqiu's nose. This is a cat. A classic feline tactic is to strike an opponent's most vulnerable spot. Meiqiu's mouth and nose are packed with nerve endings, and the blow hurt so badly that he instantly turned and fled in panic. Meiqiu stayed put, tail held high, watching as the predator vanished into the woods. At 12 yards noon, the temperature had already reached 35 degrees. The oxygen content in the Jurassic atmosphere was about 26%, 30% higher than today, which made Coal's metabolism faster and also made him more prone to fatigue. He found a small creek shaded by trees and cautiously took a few sips of water. Although the water here contained more minerals, it didn't have any deadly pathogens. The immune systems of modern mammals are enough to handle most microorganisms from the Jurassic. The real danger comes from the large dinosaurs. At 2 p.m., a herd of 20-meter-long Apatosaurus came to the creek to drink. With every step they took, the ground trembled slightly. Coal pressed tightly behind a rock, holding his breath. To these behemoths weighing as much as 30 tons, a cat is like an ant. They wouldn't notice anything under their feet, and that's exactly the most dangerous part. A casually falling foot could squash Coal into a pancake. Fortunately, Coal's reaction speed is 5 times that of a human. More than 3 times that of most dinosaurs. It can react within 0.1 seconds before the Brontosaurus's foot comes down, quickly jumping out of the way. Even more fortunately, the presence of large ornithischian dinosaurs actually provides Coal with protection. They drive away nearby medium-sized predators, while those apex predators, like Allosaurus, are more interested at this moment in these slow-moving giant prey and simply wouldn't even notice a little kitten. At dusk, Coal encountered the biggest crisis of the day. A 9-meter-long Allosaurus was patrolling its territory. Its sense of smell was extremely keen, and it quickly picked up Coal's trail. The Allosaurus lowered its head. Its massive skull was less than 3 meters from Coal, and its scorching breath blew Coal's fur back. At this critical moment, Coal made the single best choice. It didn't move at all. The Allosaurus's visual system was extremely sensitive to moving objects, but it was very poor at distinguishing objects that were still. This is characteristic of reptiles, a shared trait of the eyes, and dinosaurs, as descendants of reptiles, also inherited this trait. Meiqiu held its breath, every muscle in its body tensed, standing there like a stone statue. The Allosaurus tilted its head. It smelled the scent of prey, yet it couldn't see anything moving. It sniffed around with its nose, its huge nostrils almost brushing against Meiqiu's body. Just then, a roar from another Allosaurus came from the distance. This Allosaurus hesitated for a moment. In the end, it turned around and left. It wasn't willing to waste too much energy for such a small piece of meat, especially when its territory might be under threat. Night fell, and Jurassic nights were even more dangerous than the daytime. But that was exactly Coal's home turf. His night vision allowed him to clearly see everything around him, even in the moonlight. He found a dry hollow in a tree and curled up inside to rest. Night-active predators like Ornitholestes, although they also have fairly good night vision, are far inferior to cats in both agility and fighting ability. At 6:17 a.m. the next day, Meiqiu yawned and crawled out of the tree hollow. Sunlight filtered through the leaves onto him, and he licked his paw. Z starts grooming its fur, so the reason a cat can actually survive for a day in the Jurassic isn't because it's that powerful, but because it has perfectly adapted to a marginal ecological niche. It's small and doesn't compete with large predators. It's agile and flexible, able to move through complex terrain. Its senses are exceptionally keen, letting it detect danger ahead of time. It's cautious and suspicious by nature, and it never takes risks lightly. These traits are survival wisdom that felines have honed through tens of millions of years of evolution. Of course, if you extend the time to a week or a month, Cobal's chances of survival would drop sharply. It would face ongoing threats from hunger, illness, and more powerful predators, but at least for this one day. This little cat from the modern day proved in its own way the resilience and miracle of life in a world ruled by dinosaurs.